In our study of Vivekachudamani, now we embark on the actual essence of the text. Until now, what we studied is important, but it was more procedural things. Like, what is the qualification of that ideal student? What is it they have to look for in a guru and have that proper reverence? Also, looking into what is it that nets me this liberation? What is it that simply, our favorite phrase, bhuktaye na tu muktaye, does not actually lead to liberation, only gives me this feeling that I'm making some kind of progress, whereas I'm just enjoying myself, not really doing anything for any adhyatmic gain. Now, let's take a time out from this whole flow to assess where the text takes me from this point onward. Because the student approaches the guru and says, there is no other way for me to grow but to get this knowledge. The one thing we have to look for at this point is, what is the level of my introspective capacity? How deep am I willing to think? How deep am I able to think? Plus, when I study, there's a mirror that's put up to my personality. Do I have the courage to look into that mirror, accept what I see, and move forward with that? Well, there's one theme I've explored in several of our groups lately. It's funny sometimes, whether we're going through Sadhana Panchakam, or Art of Man Making, or Vivekachudamani, or Bhagavad Gita, every now and then the stars align where the topic seems to be similar in all the text going on at once. Maybe that's me being unimaginative. At the same time, it could be that a lot of these topics are intermingling like this. When it comes to analyzing my own personality, the process that is beautifully given in so many of our texts is going through the gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. This gives me such an insight. Now, the shlokas that we'll kind of glean over today, they come later on in this text. I'm introducing them now just so we can start this whole journey of introspection. But there's a section of Vivekachudamani, starting in the 111th shloka, ending at the 119th shloka, where the gunas are analyzed. Not at great length. That's not the objective right here, but simply for the purpose of seeing what each guna has to offer. Why is it important to use it for my thinking? What are the gunas essentially? To understand that, we have to take a step back and understand, what is this Maya? Talk about Maya, we'll have 2 whole sessions in the future where we go through that shortly. In the meantime, though, our understanding should be Maya is that magical power in tandem with that Brahman, that substratum, that gives rise to this entire creation. Anything that is tangible, that can be ascertained through my 5 senses, is nothing but the product of that Maya, and therefore unreal. And how does Maya express? The phrase that's used here and elsewhere is Gunatmika Maya. Anything that has those 3 shades of sattva, rajas, tamas, whether it's my inner instrument, whether it's my surroundings, whether it's actions that I do, the nature of knowledge that I have, what I consume, what I produce, all of this falls into that ambit of Maya because it has the shades of those. This is that framework by which I can unpack even the most subtle parts of my personality, see where do I stand right now, what progress do I have to make, purify myself. Purity is nothing more than getting to that point of sattva pradhana, where sattva is that guna that dominates my person. That is the surefire way to approach this seat of meditation and therefore open the key to the door of knowledge. That is the one. So looking at these gunas, tamas is characterized as dullness, laziness, indolence, lack of imaginative thinking, vulgarity, base, unimaginative. That is tamas. Rajas is characterized as frenetic activity, passion, greed, lust, high emotion. These are all those tendencies there. Sattva, characterized as purity, cheerfulness, the nature of knowledge, the nature of bliss, balance, dharma. This is all sattva. The reason why this framework is so any aspect of life looked at through this one simple framework. From the most basic level, ahara, what do I consume? Tamasic ahara, tamasic food that's consumed, includes things that are bad for this body and mind. Even if they intoxicate this mind and take it away from its problems temporarily, something like alcohol and drugs ultimately hurts this body and mind, therefore it's tamasic. Food that is taken having to harm another entity so that I can fill my stomach, therefore non-vegetarian food falls under tamasic as well. Not just the effect that it has on me, but because of the adharma that is involved for me to enjoy that flesh. Rajasic ahara, anything that is extreme. Extremely salty, extremely bitter, extremely sour, extremely spicy. In my mind, that's an andhra meal. In my mind, that is rajasic and extreme in every single way, right? Then finally, sattva. That which is consumed shortly after being produced, cooked. That which is not kept alive through various preservatives, but something that will putrefy soon because it's so fresh. And that food that digests easily and cleanly, and that food that does not have to result from some kind of adharma or himsa, hani, done to another being. Sattvic ahara. That's the most basic layer of analysis. From there, we take so many subtleties in a text like Bhagavad Gita. The nature of dhanam, charity, that's given through these three layers. The nature of tapasya, how I practice austerities, that is given these three layers. With the express purpose that rising spiritually is not some mystical experience. It's not rocket science either. It simply is going from these stages of tamas and rajas to sattva and staying in that sattva for as long as I can. No doubt, the mind must give in to tamas to fall asleep. That's a necessity. No doubt it must give in to rajas for activity. However, even as a doer of action, as someone that is engaging in various types of action, as someone who's ascertaining knowledge, shouldn't that come from the perspective of trying to be as sattvic as possible? That's what we'll explore loosely today before going on to some more thinking. In the 18th chapter of Gita, the framework is given for three entities: Jnanam, Karma, Karta. Jnanam, knowledge; Karma, action; Karta, doer of that action. Can knowledge be rajasic and tamasic as well? Yes, we'll see how. Tamasic jnana refers to when I take one part and I consider that conclusion to be for the whole. A bias can start this way. Someone swindled me and didn't treat me right. That person happened to be an Indian. Therefore, from now on, all Indians are this way. People can make that conclusion. Taking one small data point and making that the whole. That's with interactions with. Another layer of this comes to thinking that just because I experience something a certain way, it must be like that all over the place. Tamasic jnanam. Not doing my homework to ensure what the broader comprehensive nature of something. It's lazy. In that, it's easy to just accept things this way without having to dive deeper at all. Tamasic jnana. That also comes in the way when we're highly reductive of things. Phrases that we throw around that feel good to say. All religions say the same thing. That's one phrase we hear often. As Balvihar teachers, I hope you're not saying that to the kids. I really hope not. That all religions are the same. Because it sounds really cute. Gives us the warm fuzzies on the inside. What are the repercussions of a statement like that, however? Looking at it from a Siddhanta standpoint of principles. Principles of Sanatana Dharma are my true identity, nature is essentially Sat Chit Ananda. That principle of existence, consciousness principle of unmitigated bliss. There is no other religion, philosophy, or civilization that says that. Therefore, how can all religions be the same from a Siddhantic standpoint? Even from a sadhana standpoint. Our idea of what Paramatma, Bhagavan Ishvara is, that differs from every other religion. Our idea of what moksha sadhana, moksha in general, what that is completely different. The sadhana to get there is completely different. It's apples to pineapples here. There is no equivalence that we can make. Tamasic Jnana would be saying that, oh, this religion talks about compassion. We also talk about compassion. Oh, same. That is highly reductive. That is such a lazy way of looking at religion. We can save that for the interfaith spaces. That's not what the truth is, however. Repercussions of this knowledge has to be seen. If I believe in a Tamasic way, all religions are the same. What does that result in? What is it that keeps my students Hindu then at the end of the day? If all religions say the same thing, growing up in this country, it's much easier. If I adapt the majority religion of this country, I can just live my life that way. What is it that's going to keep me absolutely Hindu then? See the ramifications as we go further with it. What is Rajasic knowledge? Rajasic knowledge is when I keep making separations. If there's an underlying principle, I want to choose one that applies. I want to choose when it doesn't apply. Take Srimad Bhagavatam. That one text goes through 18,000 shlokas of just everything. Whatever I can wrap my head around, I will accept. There's a section that talks about geography of the world. 7 continents are there. They're shaped like this. Equator goes through them in this way. The climate is like this. Flora and fauna is like this. The people are like this. All of that's given in Srimad Bhagavatam. I can wrap my head around and accept it because that's perceptible to me. 3rd canto, one of my favorite sections, goes through embryonic development. From the time of conception until birth, week by week, how does this fetus develop? And I can ask an OBGYN, is this true? They'll say, yeah, it's the same thing. I feel confident. My religion knows what it's saying. But then that same Bhagavatam talks about 14 lokas that are there. That same Bhagavatam talks about how Varahavatar lifted this entire world on its tusks. That same Bhagavatam goes to what happens in Kali Yuga. Just because I cannot wrap my head around something, I say that's not true. Rajasic Jnana is when I want to cherry pick knowledge like this. Because I think it's valid, okay, the knowledge is true here. Other parts, I don't think it's true. This is a zero-sum endeavor right here. Either I take it all or I don't take any of it at all. I don't have the adhikara to pick and choose and say, this is not a buffet, where I say I know cucumbers in my Subway, but I like olives in there put next to it. That's not how this works. Our religion is not that simplified. Sattvic Jnana, seeing this entire Srishti and creation as nothing but false, and that knowledge which is ordained by Shastra. Not going by my whims and fancies, but going through pramana, valid means of knowledge. Now, this is in the Lokic world, we touched it in the religious sense. There's a deeper philosophical import of looking at Jnanam through these 3 gunas. This part is given to us by Sri Madhusudana Saraswati ji, the author of Gita Dhyanam, Parthaya Pratibodhitam. He wrote a Gita commentary called Gudhartha Deepika, famous commentary. In there, he says, when assessing Jnana, Tamasic Jnana is what is followed by Charvaka, that school of thought that we'd call us materialists. That whole school of thought is predicated on my experience is what dictates my mindset and worldview. You tell me I am not the body. Prove it! In every waking moment, I function through this body. And the dream also is the same way. I cannot point to a single time when I am out of this body. And Sutta Marke, who knows a little bit, but for the most part, I cannot point to a single time that happens. So what you're saying, there is something higher. I believe there's nothing before this body, there's nothing after this body. That is all I believe. I will enjoy myself in this body right now. Doing dharma for a next life, praying to Bhagavan for some kind of mukti. You can do that because you're foolish and believing in some shastra. I am not like that. I am a charvaka. Tamasic knowledge. I refuse to consider that which is outside of my perception. I'm taking one tiny slice, and I'm concluding the entire pizza is like this. Tamasic knowledge. Rajasic jnana. Look at the Dvaita philosophy. I am a jiva. There's that Paramatma. To say that my tattva, my essence, is that same essence as that Paramatma is blasphemy. How can you say that? My thinking is bhaktoham dasoham. I am always subservient to that Ishvara. I am always here. He is always there. See how I'm making these bhedas, differences, like Rajasic jnana? That is the effect of it. Sattvic jnana. Fully understand what oneness means. Oneness does not mean you and I, we share the same kind of DNA, we're the same person after the end of the day. That's not what oneness is. Oneness is seeing that as the ultimate witness. There is nothing to be witnessed. There is no creation in the first place. As Bhagavan says in 7th chapter, Sutre Manigana Iva. Manigana, all these various forms and everything that are there, even when we take creation to be real, I am that sutra, that one common thread going in and through everything. That is that understanding. Sattvic knowledge is the only one that nets me that. So see, on a Laukika level of dealing with people, we went through those 3 layers of jnana. At the level of viewing our religion in relation to other religions, we went through these 3 levels. At the level of within Sanatana Dharma, different schools of thought, we went through these 3 levels. That is the power of our Purvacharyas. None of these analyses I came up with myself. Everything was borrowed from a different acharya, every single one. We don't have to hit home runs and go through and find new gems in the Shastras. Acharyas have done that. We just have to read what they've wrote and try to understand. That's all we have to do. We have it so easy. Karma, next layer. In the way that action is done. Tamasic karma is that karma that is done out of delusion. Completely going the wrong way. A first layer of delusion in any action is I am this jiva is the biggest delusion. It's even more than that, however. That which is adharmic, I see as dharmic. How dangerous is that? That's a big one. Rajasic karma. Rajasic karma is done with that intention of I am looking for the fruits of my action. I want something personal from this. That's all I'm looking for, nothing else. Sattvic karma. From that standpoint of this is the knowledge that is ordained by Shastra of what I should be doing, of what is dharma, therefore I execute. Well, we can take this in various ways. Let's take it in a different angle. This layer of karma right here. As Balvihar teachers, one responsibility in raising this next generation of Hindus is how strongly are we fortifying this Hindu identity? I haven't spoken on that in a while. It's very important to see. From which angles are we seeing that? Tamasic karma, seeing adharma as dharma. That means capitulating to what the status quo is, looking at the Hindu people through the lens of what is popular in the world, not seeing the Hindu people as they are. What is the result of this? Those demonizations that others make about Hindus and the philosophy and practices, we turn into apologists for that. We don't correct those things. We say, oh no, but there's other good things in the religion. We go that route. When people say there's caste oppression as a part of the religion, instead of saying that's a cultural effect, religion is different from, we don't want to go that route. We just say, oh yeah, that's a blemish on the religion, but there's other good things. We turn to apologists. When our own Hindu genocides are denied. In 1915, there was the Ottoman Empire, the Turkish people. They killed 1 million Armenians, the Armenian genocide. The Armenian community in America worked hard for years until finally in 2021, the US government recognized this as a genocide of 1 million Armenians. Why does it matter if a foreign country recognizes the genocide? The world we live in order to have this understanding for the world that this is what happened, there are certain superpowers that must validate what has happened in history. Like it or not, that is the way. Look at the Hindu people. You can say the Armenian genocide, people know what you're talking about. You can say the Holocaust or the Jewish genocide, people know what you're talking about. If you say the Hindu genocide, my question is, which one are you talking about? See our situation? Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about the ones that happened in the early days of 700 AD when the Turks and the Hunas and everyone came in? Islamic invaders and they killed people completely? Or are you talking about the British invasion that came and the forced famines and everything, killing 4.6 million Hindus? Are you talking about the Mughal Empire, where 267 million Hindus were killed? Or are you talking about Sikandar Lodi's excursion into Delhi, where piles of Yajnopavitas bloodied lay there, 70,000 people killed in the matter of 2 or 3 days? Or are you talking about the reign of Aurangzeb, where temples were broken down completely and millions of Hindus? Which one are you pointing? That's all ancient history, people. Okay? Since 1900. Are you talking about what happened in 1921 in Kerala, the Mopra? Not uprising, it's a Mopla genocide. Where thousands of Hindus were killed over the span of a few months. Or are you talking about the horrors of partition? 2 million Hindus and Sikhs killed, 1947. Or are you talking about 1971 in West Pakistan, nowadays Bangladesh? 2.5 million Hindus killed, 10 million Bengali Hindus had to find refuge in Bharat, having to leave Bangladesh. Or are you talking about 1989 till 1992, the Kashmiri genocide that happened? Or are you speaking about the current situation happening in parts of Pakistan and Bangladesh right now? See what we have gone through as a people. I'm not saying this to cause controversy. That's not my point right now. When it comes to the karma of protecting this religion and propagating it the right way, how many Hindus are even aware of one of these genocides that have even happened? We're all educated people. We all went to school. We didn't learn it there. We're all worldly people in that we know things about the world and the people around us. We never discuss it there. We are people that are ardent Hindus, believe in the protection of our own people. We never got it there either. Somewhere something's wrong. Now this next generation, the ones we teach in Balvihar, activism gives a sense of belonging. That's why, whether it's Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Palestine, you see our kids so fervently supporting one side or the other. They want that sense of belonging. Unfortunately, that sense of belonging is only validated when it's cool to follow that line of thinking. Because at the end of the day, our kids are not donating money or taking up arms or anything like that. They're typing on keyboards and attending rallies. That's all they're doing. What does that do at the end of the day? Nothing. Let's be honest. It's virtue signaling. That I also posted about on my Instagram about this, just like you did. And that makes us sleep better at night, thinking we've made the world a better place because we posted on Instagram about it. Vah! Kya baat hai? Lip service. But because those conflicts are seen in the media and they're justified by governments and things, that makes sense. That's cool to be a part of. The 1971 Bangladeshi genocide, 3 years ago, in Congress, they passed a resolution to try to recognize it as a genocide. It didn't go all the way. It never made it to the Senate floor, but at least there was some noise that was made about it. Lip service they gave at least. That's the first step. It'll take decades to make that happen. But you see, karma-wise, tamasic karma would be just to shut our eyes and ears about this and just exist in the world. Living in our big houses, driving our Teslas, having fun, saying we're removed from all of this, none of this matters. It does matter. Why? Because it's still going on today. How many of our kids post on Instagram about the Bangladeshi genocide happening right now? Thousands of people dying every year during Durga Puja, afraid to even celebrate because of the persecution that they'll face. In 1947, the population of Bangladesh was 30% Hindu. Now it is less than 8% Hindu. The ones who were lucky and blessed were the ones that got to escape. The reason we don't know these stories, many of them, the people are not alive to tell them. Tamasic karma is to shut that out as an identity. Rajasic karma, simply doing things for my own gain. This Hindu knowledge can make me respected. It can give me an avenue into impressing people with my words. It can make me a pillar in a community. Bhuktaye natu muktaye. Rakshana. Saving of a people, protecting of a people is what this knowledge should be used for. Protect people I see as my own, at least. That's not done. What's the point of this knowledge? Rajasic karma, only looking out for myself. Sattvic karma. That karma which is, again, ordained by that Shastra. Not for a selfish motive. For some greater good. When that is my moral compass, pointing from that sattva, there is no way I can sit idly by and not say anything or even support the wrong side when things happen. And there is no way that I can ignore it and look for my own wealth and yogakshema when these things happen. My conscience will not allow that to happen. Sattvic karma expresses in that. Now, the next layer to look at is karta, the actor, the doer of the action. Again, here an objection can come up. We've talked about jnanam. We've talked about how that translates to doing karma. Karma is done by the karta. Why does it matter to look at karta if we've already seen karma now? Is it that there was only 697 shlokas in Gita and Bhagavan Krishna said, let's go for a round number, here are 3 more shlokas? Why? Here again, Madhusudana Saraswati ji gives us a beautiful... At this point, it's easy to think that the karta is the self. Self meaning what is my ultimate, most subtle identity. I can think karta is the self. Why? Show me one thing in this world that is not the result of karma. You and I are a result of karma. Anything that we have consumed or produced, karma. Any dreams or goals that we have to be done by karma. Any example we want to follow, by karma. Anything tangible you hold on to, I love this, I hate that, karma. Tell me karma is not everything. So karta can be seen as that self then. Now, what is the sixer that Madhusudana Saraswati ji hits here? He says, because the analysis of karta is done through the ambit of the gunas, anything analyzed through the gunas is the product of Maya. Anything product of Maya is unreal, cannot be the self. Oof. That's why this section matters so much. So from the standpoint of karta, you'll see some overlap with karma here for a reason. But what is it that we look to as the tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic karta? That karta, who is an agent of action at the tamasic level, is one who is unsteady, ayuktaha, vulgar and unbending, prakritaha stabdaha. What I say is all that matters, and I will do anything to achieve that. If that means throwing you under a bus, throwing you under a bigger bus, I will do that. If that means I will get what I want. Maliciousness, laziness, despondency. Now here's a word. You want to insult your children, insult them in Sanskritam, okay? Punya will come that way. Do it in the language of our Shastra. Dirghasutri. Dirghasutri means that he who procrastinates. Dirghasutri. So insult your kids that way, okay? Sanskritam insult. Let them know what it means also. Dirghasutri, someone who procrastinates. This is the dull agent of action, tamasic. The rajasic agent of action, again, desiring to gain the fruits of action through greed. What I want, I must have. I must hold on to it. I will do anything to hold on to it. Sattvic karta, no attachment, no egoism, having a firmness and utsaha, enthusiasm. How many of you have teenage kids? Or have been through that teenage stage at least? 15, 16 years ago, before you had these kids, you were excited to have a kid. If you knew what those teenage years are like, would you be as excited at that time? You're on camera if I'm looking at you, so you have to nod yeah, just so I think you're good parents. But utsaha, it's not always fun being a parent, man. Especially in those teenage years. I feel for you. And I can tell which one of you, not just the gray hairs, but there's something lost in the eyes as well. That's how you know you have teenage kids. It's there. It's there. You look good. It's there, you know? There's never a time that feels like this role that I'm in, whether it's of a parent or a spouse or a brahmachari. It's always fun. This feels great. It's not always going to be like that. Utsaha is, can I generate enthusiasm even in those times? That is the sattvic agent of action right there, sattvic karta. To hold on to that is difficult, but it can be done. Now, what this leads to here is integration of personality. It's not like a slot machine in Vegas where you pull the lever, orange, apple, lemon, 3 different things. Like that, it's not that my jnanam is at a sattvic level, I am a tamasic karma is what I do, I am a rajasic karta. It doesn't work that way. Usually it'll be in one line. Either I'm sattvic all the way or rajasic or tamasic predominantly, with very few exceptions. Given that that alignment is there, my goal is to be aligned in that sattvic layer for all of these. Now, integration, not just spiritually, integration is seen everywhere. Businesses follow vertical integration. Have you heard of that concept? I'm an econ major, so I nerd out about these things. I talk about it with great enthusiasm, utsaha, and then I see you guys look bored, so I say, okay, maybe not everyone's an economist then. Vertical integration, one example I'll give you. There was a company that made potato chips to eat. Unfortunately, that potato chip was causing diarrhea for all the people that got it. Responsible thing to do is you recall that product so you can fix it before putting it back out. But that's not very lucrative. What did this company do? They created a medicine for diarrhea and they sold that also. So you can buy them in tandem. Eat our chips, get sick, buy our medicine, pay us twice, you'll be fine. Vertical integration. What a genius concept. Now, in our day-to-day living, we shouldn't give into kutarka like this. Please don't think that's what we're supposed to do. But integration is needed. Now, quiz question, you can put this in the chat. In Hanuman Chalisa, there's one example of this integration of personality. What is that one fragment of the Chopai? All of you are now in your head, starting with Shri Guru Jarana Sarojaraja. Integration, which I'll wait for 10 seconds. You want to type something out, type something out. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Mana krama bachana dhyana jolave. Mahatiji, yes! Very good. Very good. Mana in thought, krama in action, vachana in word. Are those aligned? Or am I like a politician where campaign promises are made and once I'm in power, nothing ever happens? In every country, every party is the same way. Where's the integration? So that is the goal of this analysis through the gunas. How integrated am I as a personality? Now, what are the challenges that get in the way of this? As well-intentioned as I am, there may be certain vasanas that preclude me from fully doing the karma the way I want to do it, fully getting the jnanam that I want, fully being that correct karta, agent of action. Now we have to see deeper, what is the reason for that? Tamasic layer. The knowledge is very myopic, very narrow. The action that is done is out of delusion completely. The actor, the doer of the action, is one that is unsteady and vulgar, does not change, nothing like that. What's the common thread through all of these? When I don't want to change from what I am and transform myself in any way, I don't want to adopt any new line of thinking, that is the result of fear. Even if I don't have a good personality, a known personality is better than an unknown personality. Therefore, even with my problems, what I am is better than something I don't know what I could become. Therefore, let me stay at this layer. I may be awful. I still love myself, though. We're good. Not too bad. I am like this. Now, that tamasic layer, fear, why am I saying fear? Fear is the product of attachment. And that middle layer between fear and attachment is expectation. I am attached to my child. I have given them so many values. I expect them to be a certain way. And at the layer of giving respect, layer of hard work, that's one layer, okay, understandable. Once they reach a certain age, that expectation extends to who they marry, where they live, what occupation they take up, how they conduct themselves. And then they're happy doing what they're doing because my expectations were there. I'm the one that feels miserable at that point. As Balvihar teachers, we'd love to walk into the room and every kid be attentive. But that doesn't happen. And the few Mahatmas in the class that misbehave, they also have that capability of inspiring others to behave like them as well. They'll be great people later on. But when they're in your class, my God, you want to strangle them, don't you? It's tough. Younger grades, energy is really high. You have to match their energy. Older grades, if you try to match their energy, you'll fall asleep in the class. It's there. You also see changes happen as age goes on also. One of my favorite memes ever, cartoon that I saw in the newspaper. It talks about those people who are over 50 at the workplace and those people that are under 30 at the workplace, the difference. The one that's under 30, Monday, he's super tired because he was partying all weekend long. As the week goes on, he gains strength. He gets stronger and stronger. By Friday, he's upright and happy. The over 50 employee, the subha that I'm in right now, the over 50 employee, Monday, she is nice and strong and happy. As the week goes on, gets weaker and weaker. What is the one day of the week their energies are the same? Wednesday is the only day their energies are the same, mid-level like that. Except for that, they're on different sides of the coin completely. A beautiful card. There's no words in the cartoon either, man. That was the beautiful part. I loved it. So insightful and true. So we find, based on station in life, age, experience, all of these things, there are certain mindsets that'll be there. It has to be that way. So understanding that there will be certain impediments which keep me at these layers. So fear is the reason to stay in that tamasic layer. Now we look at rajas for these three. Rajasic jnanam, making these different bedhas, differences, and applying the knowledge when I want to and taking it out when I don't want to. Like a buffet. In terms of karma, doing things only looking for the fruits. That which benefits me, and preferably me here and now. And in terms of the karta, agent of action, he who is working with greed as that complete intention. Having great delight and great grief. There's the saying in Hindi, right? Those who laugh a lot also cry a lot. True. What is the underlying thread in all of these? There is an insecurity when it comes to yoga and kshema. This tandem of words comes in 9th chapter of Gita. Yoga meaning procuring, aggrandizing, accumulating things or people or status or prestige. Kshema is preserving that, either as a legacy for the future generations, either for myself and my own capital, keeping that alive. When I'm a child, I am told get good grades in school. For what purpose? So that you get to a good college. Why go to a good college? So that you can be gainfully employed with a good salary. For what purpose? To support my family. For what purpose? That's what people do. They strive to get more so they can live a more comfortable life. For what purpose? Because when you do that, society says that's what makes you happy. And then I wake up and I'm 65 years old. Tell me I'm wrong. This entire existence is about yogakshema, which is why in the 9th chapter, what Bhagavan says is mind-blowing. Yogakshemam vahamyaham. I will take care of your yogakshema, is what Bhagavan. You no longer have to do it. Then we say, what's the fine print? What's the catch? No catch, just a very simple thing. Worship nothing else but me. Do not worship money. Do not worship status and prestige. Do not worship sensuality. None of that. Only worship me. That's all I'm asking. And I will take care of everything else. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me, right? Rajas is when I fail to see that. My insecurity is karma and action is what has gotten me everything. Therefore, that is the only way to be happy. I must do it that way and hold on to as much as I can. There was a man who was in his last moments on his deathbed. His 4 kids were surrounding him. At that moment, even, Antim Kala, time to say tata bye-bye. Even then, when he calls his children close to him, he's telling them what? Brought one oldest daughter came up. Those 2 buildings on the east side of town, those are yours. Now on. Calls the next child the son. Those 2 buildings on the south side of town, those 2 buildings are yours. They're all nodding with him. One person said, wow, look at the magnanimity. End of life also, he's thinking about what to give to his kids as a legacy and he's setting them up. The guy next to him said, no, it's not that complicated. This guy's job is to clean buildings. Even as he's dying, he's telling his kids, those 2 buildings you have to clean, those 2 buildings you have to clean. Something so mundane, not even giving something to them to benefit. This is the job you have to take on now that you inherit from me. Isn't that yogakshema in a nutshell? We hold on to these petty things that don't even matter at the end of the day. Who was on their deathbed saying, I wish I spent more time at work? There are people that said, I wish I spent more time with my family. Whoever says, I wish I spent more time at work? It's about priorities then. Rajas takes away the priorities in the right way. There's an elderly man I meet every now and then. He doesn't live in Dallas, elsewhere. Very soft-spoken, very pious person. Single father. Okay, his kids are grown and he has grandkids. His entire life, he worked at one company for 45 years. For some small business, he was their accounting person. Not an accountant with many clients, but an accountant in-house just for that one small business. His salary never increased much in those 45 years. He never rose up the ladder or anything. I was talking to him about his life. What was he most proud of in his life when he talked to me? He said, Haribhai, in 45 years, I have 2 daughters. I never missed a single dance recital. I never missed a single soccer game. I never missed a single open house at school or meet the teacher night. I never missed a single performance thing that they had to do. I was there at every single one of these things. How many fathers especially say that? Said I won. Income not that high, I don't care. I won because I was able to do that. That's what made me. Hats off, man. Good. Rajas takes away that priority. A Rajasic person would hear that and say, what kind of nonsense is it? Sattva. What is the thread right there? Jnanam, ordained by Shastra. Karma, ordained as a duty by Shastra and Guru. Karta, one who has that reliance on Shastra. I've said Shastra 3 times. What else more do I have to say? In this line of thinking, these recommendations made, this analysis, that is unique to only our Hindu civilization. Do not generalize this and universalize this and say this is there everywhere, all over the world. This is unique to us. There may be remnants of this out in the world. It may have been borrowed by other civilizations. We are the only original civilization to hold these views, construct a culture out of these views, and thrive the way that we have. If we can pass down that essence to our Balvihar students, we will have won as Balvihar teachers. I expressed it in my own way by shouting at you for the past hour. You have to express that in your way to your students, age appropriately, however you can. Or else, once they graduate from our program, man, what is it that's binding them to it? All of these years was their parents forcing them to go. When they're on their own, what is it? So every Monday I have a chick class online. I'm so proud of those kids that show up to that. These guys are in med school, law school, working, married, whatever they are. They still show up every week. It's not that I'm giving great satsangs. They believe in something higher because they've held on to this. But it's few and far in between. We graduate how many kids nationally? Nice round number, 1,000 kids a year. And that's a conservative estimate. You want me to be conservative about this, trust me, because where I'm going with it. How many of those 1,000 graduates per year get involved as chicks at all? Maybe 100 to 150 a year. That's a terrible batting average. I'm not looking for Shohei Ohtani numbers here, but still, that is a terrible batting average. What are we doing? Something has to change in the way we're expressing the love for the culture and the necessity to have this culture. That has to be our role as Balvihar. So with that, we will end it here today. Submit your questions in the Google form. Last time I only got 2 questions, so I answered them and we moved on. Submit any questions you have. Any disagreements also. Hadiji, what you said was bekar. I feel this way about it. Put it in there, man. Let's have it out. Let's talk. We're all friends. All right, so with that, thank you so much. I want to see all our teachers at our banquet. That's our family reunion. Or else what happens in life where we'll meet at some event years down the line? Oh, you're an 8th grade teacher, I'm an 8th grade teacher. Oh, you teach at Saket, I teach at Saket. Oh, you're an S1, I'm an S2. Good to meet you. After decades of being in the same mission, that's happening now. Let's get together. Banquet is the best way to do that. Pujya Swami Siddhananji is our chief guest. In terms of seniority, of longevity in the mission, he is the senior most Swamiji in North America. He was in the Vedanta course from 1972 to 1975 with Swami Tejomayana. So forget before I was born, that was before many of you were born as well. His wealth of knowledge, his love for Gurudev and the way he expresses that, and his special talent as an amazing singer in multiple languages, you will see all of that on display at our banquet. So please do come, support the kids who are performing as well, and donate as well. Keep the cause going. So with that, have a great week ahead. I know I wasn't on my game today, just really tired, still not feeling well. Seeing you guys, that makes me feel good. I feel better already just from that. So good to get back in the swing. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.